Hello! In today's video we're going to be talking about programming in Sinclair Basic, in particular Sinclair 48K Basic. Now for this we're going to use a ZX Spectrum. I've got here a ZX Spectrum 48K from 1982, but for the purposes of this demonstration we're going to be using a ZX Spectrum Plus 2 rather than the Spectrum 48K. Now, this is the Sinclair ZX Spectrum Plus 2. This is the first Amstrad iteration of the ZX Spectrum. This machine runs 128 kilobytes of RAM as opposed to 48K on the original Spectrum, but it can be booted up in both 128K and 48K modes. So for the purpose of this demonstration we're going to boot the machine up straight into 48K mode. Right, I've booted up the ZX Spectrum Plus 2 and I've booted it straight into 48K Basic. You'll see that I've already written the first line of code, which is line 10. This is to make the screen dark and the ink white. Sinclair Basic has the screen split into two parts, the border and the paper. So you'll see that I've written the border 0, the paper 0, the ink 7. 0 represents black, 7 represents white. So I'll demonstrate a simple line of code which uses a string. So we will have an input, so I'll go 20 input and we'll have some open quotes, enter name, and we'll put a colon here, we'll close the quotes, and then we're going to need a semicolon, and then we'll put an A string. So the string is essentially a variable that will represent whatever the user types in. So if we have line 30, we can give a print command, we can say hello, and we leave a space so the person's name will appear next. So we close the quotes and we have another semicolon, and then we put the A string. So if we run the program, we can see that the computer is now asking the users to enter their name. So we can put Paul, enter, the computer says hello Paul. So A string represents whatever the user types. So if I run it again and I say the name is Claire, the computer says hello Claire. So the next thing we'll do is get the computer to make a decision based on a string. So I'll just put in another input, which we could have a password. This is the best way of demonstrating this function. So we can say enter password. We will have a colon again there, and a close bracket followed by a semicolon. This time we'll have a B string. B string this time will represent the password. So we now need the computer to make a decision based on what that password is. So for line 50 we can use the if command. So we can say if B string equals, and we open the quotes, let's say the password is Spectrum. We can get the computer to make a decision, so we can say, we can send it to a different line of code. So we can say Ben go to, we'll say line 100. So now if the user enters Spectrum at line 50, the computer will go to line 100. So by default the computer will go to line 60 if the word Spectrum isn't typed. So at line 60 we'll leave a space actually between the name, so I'll just put in a print, just a simple print command leaves a gap between lines. So 70 we can print that the password is incorrect. Right, so if I run the program now, I'll enter my name. Paul. Now it's asking me for the password. So if I type anything other than Spectrum, it will tell me that the password is incorrect, as it does now. If I enter my name again and I type Spectrum as the password this time,
it just finishes. So by default the computer is not jumping to line 100, it's going straight to the next line telling me the password isn't correct. Right, so what I'll do now is I'll put in line 80, I'll put another print command in to leave a space, and then at line 90 I'll get the computer to repeat itself, so I'll put it in a loop. So I'll ask the computer at line 90 to go back to line 40, which is where the user has to enter their password. So if I run the program now, I'll enter my name, I will get the password incorrect, it tells me that the password is incorrect, and it goes back and asks me for the password again. If I enter it wrong again, we're now in a continual loop where we just get password incorrect commands. Only when I enter the password correctly does the program finish. So if we now go to line 100, and I will enter another print command just to leave a space. Actually, I won't do that, I will say that the password is correct. And then the program should finish there. So now if I run it, enter my name as Paul, I'll get the password incorrect, so it's in a continual loop again, password incorrect. As soon as I enter the password correctly, it's telling me the password is correct.
So I hope that's given you a quick summary of how to program in Sinclair Basic, Sinclair 48K Basic to be precise. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.